All right, so we're diving deep today, ready to explore this thing called human nature.
Always ready.
We're going to be using Robert Greene's book, The Laws of Human Nature.
Oh, this is going to be good.
Yeah, and it's a fascinating look at, well, the forces that are often hidden, the ones that are driving so many of our actions.
Definitely.
And Greene argues that understanding these forces, it can really change how we see ourselves and how we interact with, well, everyone around us.
I think one of the most striking images in the book is this idea of a stranger within, almost like a primal force
Oh, yeah.
that sometimes seems to take control.
Yeah, it's like there's this other being inside.
He even calls it a little demon,
Yeah.
that pushes us to act against our own best interests.
Yeah, I love that imagery.
It's powerful.
It really makes you think about those moments when you kind of surprise yourself with your own reactions.
Oh, absolutely.
Right, like have you ever felt like almost like something else just took over?
For sure.
Yeah, I bet.
Greene connects this to our evolutionary past. you know.
Yeah. Oh, interesting.
He argues that things like envy, status-seeking, and conformity, they're not just social constructs.
Right.
They're actually deeply ingrained in us because of evolutionary pressures.
So it's like we're hardwired for this stuff.
In a way, yeah.
And he also says these things, these tendencies, they often operate unconsciously.
Right.
Which makes us, well, pretty vulnerable to manipulation.
Especially in today's world,
Right, yeah.
with social media and all.
It's a little unnerving, to think about. Like, are
Question.
we ever really in control of our own behavior?
That's the big question, isn't it? And Greene argues that the first step to gaining control is awareness.
Okay, so it starts with awareness.
We need to become human mineralogists, as he puts it.
Human mineralogist, what's that?
It's a really cool analogy.
Okay.
Just like a mineralogist studies the structures of minerals.
Yeah.
We can learn to study the specimens of human behavior.
Okay, so we're like, what, behavior detectives or something?
Kinda, yeah.
Looking for clues?
To understand the underlying patterns.
Interesting.
Yeah, and once you start looking for these patterns,
Yeah.
they really pop up everywhere.
Oh, I bet.
Like, have you ever had a colleague who, seemed to go out of their way to sabotage your work
Ugh. Ooh.
or downplay your achievements?
Oh, tell me about it.
Greene would say that's a classic sign of envy.
I had this coworker once, and he would literally steal my ideas in meetings.
Oh, wow.
I know, right?
That's tough.
And then present them as his own.
Oof.
It was infuriating.
I bet.
Yeah.
And that's a perfect example of how envy often stems from, well, a deep-seated need to protect one's status.
Right, like I'm better than you.
It's not always conscious.
Right.
Or malicious.
I guess not.
It's often driven by insecurity and fear.
So are you saying that maybe instead of getting caught up in the drama of it all,
Yeah.
I should have tried to understand where that behavior was coming from?
That's exactly the kind of shift in perspective. Greene encourages
Okay.
to see it as,
Yeah.
a symptom of his own issues
Right.
rather than a personal attack on me.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And he argues that this understanding can be incredibly empowering.
How so?
That allows us to,
Yeah.
to see situations more objectively,
Okay.
to anticipate how people might react,
Right.
and to choose our own responses more strategically,
So it's like understanding human nature gives us a bit of an edge.
like a secret weapon, almost.
I like that, having a secret weapon.
And speaking of navigating social situations,
Oh, yeah. Tell me about it.
let's talk about another one of Greene's behavioral minerals,
Okay.
misplaced confidence.
Misplaced confidence.
Yeah,
Okay, so people who seem super confident but actually aren't.
exactly.
I've definitely met a few of those.
It's a crucial skill to
Just
develop,
be able to spot that, right?
the ability to,
Yeah.
to differentiate genuine confidence from the kind of bluster that masks insecurity.
It's like all that glitters is not gold.
Exactly.
So how can we learn to tell the difference?
Greene gives us some really useful clues.
Okay, I'm all ears.
He says true confidence is rooted in competence
Okay.
and a realistic self-assessment.
Makes sense.
It's quiet and understated.
Okay, so not flashy and loud.
Right.
Got it.
On the other hand, misplaced confidence.
Yeah.
It's all about projecting an image
Like a facade.
to compensate for those inner doubts.
So someone who's constantly boasting or name dropping
Yeah.
or seeking external validation, those are red flags.
Exactly.
Their confidence might be, well, a little shaky.
Think about it.
Yeah.
Someone who's truly secure in themselves, they don't need to constantly prove it.
Yeah, true confidence kind of speaks for itself.
Exactly.
And this ties into what we were discussing earlier, evolutionary psychology.
Yeah.
This need to project confidence. Could it also be tied to those primal instincts for status,
Absolute.
for dominance.
We are social creatures after all.
Right.
Our sense of worth is often tied to how we perceive ourselves within the social hierarchy.
So projecting an image of confidence
Yeah.
is a way to, what, climb that ladder?
Even if it means sacrificing authenticity.
Wow. So it's this complex interplay between, nature and nurture.
Right.
We're born with these primal instincts, but
But our experiences,
and how we choose to navigate them.
they shape who we become.
That's fascinating.
And Green doesn't just leave us with these observations.
Oh, good.
He actually provides practical advice
I like that.
on how to use this understanding to our advantage.
Like, give me an example.
So let's say you encounter someone who seems overly confident.
Yeah.
He suggests paying close attention to their actions rather than their words.
Actions speak louder than words, right?
Exactly.
It's like that old saying.
We should focus on what people do, not just what they say.
Makes sense.
Another thing to look for is consistency.
Okay, consistency.
Does their behavior match their words?
Right.
Are they reliable?
Good point.
Do they follow through on promises?
That's important.
These are all indicators of true confidence and integrity.
This is making me think about all those times I've been drawn to, charismatic but ultimately unreliable people.
Yeah.
Maybe I was so focused on the charm that I missed those subtle cues
It's a common trap.
about their true character.
Green helps us avoid those traps
Ah,
by giving us the tools to see through the facades
to make more informed decisions.
about who we trust
Right.
and how we interact with the world around us.
This is making me rethink some past relationships, but before we go down that rabbit hole, let's talk about another fascinating aspect of human nature.
Okay, what's that?
Irrationality and self-justification.
Ooh, interesting.
Why do we make excuses for bad behavior?
Our own and others.
It's true.
This is where Green's insights into the human ego come in.
Okay,
We all have this deep-seated need to,
Yeah.
to maintain a positive self-image.
Like we want to see ourselves as the good guy.
So when we do something that contradicts that image,
Yeah.
our brains go into overdrive trying to,
Yeah.
to rationalize it.
It's self-preservation, right?
In a way, yeah.
Instead of admitting we messed up, we come up with elaborate stories,
To justify our actions.
even if it means blaming others.
Or downplaying the consequences.
Oh, we really are masters of self-deception.
And sometimes we even extend that deception to others,
Yeah, I've definitely done that.
making excuses for their bad behavior.
Because it's easier than facing the truth.
It's a defense mechanism.
To protect ourselves from, cognitive dissonance.
Exactly.
This is all starting to make me a bit uneasy,
How so?
If we're all so good at rationalizing our bad behavior,
Yeah.
are we doomed to just repeat our mistakes?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
And that brings us to one of the most empowering parts of Green's book, the power of awareness.
Okay, so awareness is key here.
Green argues that simply recognizing those patterns of self-justification,
Yeah.
it's a huge step towards breaking free.
So just by becoming aware of this tendency
Yeah.
to make excuses, we're already on the path to making better choices.
That's what Green suggests.
Okay, but how do we actually break those patterns?
That's where the shadow self comes in.
The shadow self.
Yeah. Green argues that we all have this darker side,
Oh, that's kind of scary.
these impulses and desires that we often try to,
To
to repress.
burn, right.
Yeah, to push down
So it's not about pretending we're perfect.
No.
It's about acknowledging.
those darker aspects.
Yeah.
So we can learn to manage them.
Okay, so we're taming the beast.
It's like taming the little demon
Interesting.
instead of letting it control us.
Okay, this idea of a shadow self.
Yeah.
It's really intriguing, but how do we actually, bring those hidden impulses into the light?
You're right. It's a delicate process.
It seems like something that could easily backfire.
Green emphasizes that self-awareness is key.
Okay, self-awareness again.
He suggests we start by paying attention to those moments.
Yeah.
When we feel ourselves getting defensive.
Okay.
Or making excuses.
So, when I feel that urge to justify my actions,
Yeah.
that's a signal to pause.
Exactly.
Hit the brakes.
And examine what's really going on beneath the surface.
Okay, so it's about creating a space.
Between the stimulus
And the response.
to make a conscious choice.
About how we react?
That's one of the keys to cultivating our higher selves.
Okay, cultivating our higher selves.
Developing a more objective perspective on our emotions.
This is getting really interesting.
It is, isn't it?
So tell me more about this higher self.
Think of it this way.
Okay.
Green suggests that within each of us,
Yeah.
there's this constant interplay between our higher and lower selves.
The higher and lower selves.
The lower
I
self,
are just driven by.
those primal instincts.
Okay, the ones we talked about.
The need for instant gratification.
Yeah.
The fear of scarcity.
Right.
The desire for dominance.
Those are powerful forces.
And then the higher self.
Where our nobler qualities reside.
Empathy, reason, long-term vision.
So it's like this internal battle.
A tug of war.
Between our better angels and those inner demons.
And the goal is to learn to tip the scales in favor of our higher selves.
But how? I mean, these primal instincts are so strong.
It's not easy, but Green offers some practical strategies.
Okay, tell me more.
One of them is to cultivate what he calls an expansive and fearless attitude.
Expansive and fearless.
Yeah.
I like the sound of that.
It's about embracing challenges.
Stepping outside our comfort zones.
Not letting fear hold us back.
Okay.
It's about cultivating a growth mindset.
Where we see setbacks as opportunities
To learn and grow.
to become stronger.
So instead of shrinking back,
Yeah.
we lean into those challenges.
I can see how that aligns with, strengthening our higher selves.
Right.
This makes me think about all those times I kind of shied away from difficult situations.
Yeah.
Maybe I should have used them as fuel for my own development.
That's the idea.
This is really making me rethink how I approach challenges.
That's great.
Instead of dreading them,
Yeah.
maybe I should start seeing them as opportunities.
That's the spirit.
This is incredibly empowering.
It is.
It's like we're taking back control,
Of our own narrative.
choosing to see ourselves as the heroes.
Of our own journeys.
And speaking of narratives,
Oh, yes.
Green also talks about how our need for a coherent self-story
Right.
can sometimes lead us astray.
That's an important point.
You mean like how we create stories to explain our past
Exactly.
and justify our choices?
We all have this need to,
So,
to make sense of our lives.
right.
To create a story that feels, well, coherent.
Meaningful.
But sometimes in our efforts to maintain that narrative,
We end up clinging to beliefs and behaviors that no longer serve us.
that's the danger.
So it's like we're trapped in our own stories,
We become attached to them,
afraid to let go.
even if they're no longer accurate.
Wow, that's a powerful insight.
And Green suggests that one of the keys to personal growth is
Sure.
developing the willingness to revise our narratives.
So it's like we're the authors of our own life stories.
And just like any good author,
Yeah.
we need to be willing to edit,
Revive
rewrite entire chapters.
as we learn and evolve.
And that brings us to another important point Green makes. The importance of channeling comparison into healthy competition.
Oh, the comparison game.
It's so easy to get caught in the trap,
of envy and self-doubt.
especially in the age of social media.
It's everywhere.
We're constantly bombarded with images of other people's seemingly perfect lives.
Their accomplishments, their possessions, their adventures.
It's easy to feel inadequate.
It's like we're all living in this giant highlight reel.
And Green argues that instead of letting comparison fuel negativity,
We can use it as motivation.
to strive for excellence,
Okay, so instead of I'm not good enough,
we shift to,
yeah,
how can I learn from this person?
how can I improve myself?
It's a much more empowering perspective.
I like that.
It's about recognizing that everyone has their own strengths and weaknesses.
So instead of getting caught up in envy,
We can use other successes as inspiration.
I've wasted so much time feeling envious of other people.
It happens.
What if I had used that energy to focus on my own goals?
That's the power of reframing
It's a skill we can develop, right?
with practice.
Green emphasizes that comparison is inevitable.
It's wired into us,
We're social creatures.
but it's how we choose to respond to those comparisons
that matters.
that determines whether they fuel our growth or hold us back,
So it's about recognizing when comparison is becoming toxic
and consciously choosing
to shift our focus.
to our own growth.
I like that. That makes sense.
One of the most effective ways to do that is to cultivate gratitude.
Gratitude.
Yeah.
How does that tie into dealing with comparison?
When we're focused on what we're lacking,
Yeah.
it's easy to fall into that trap of envy and resentment.
I can see.
But when we shift our attention to all the good things
Yeah.
in our own lives,
Yeah.
those feelings of inadequacy,
Yeah.
they start to fade
So it's about appreciating the abundance we already have.
rather than focusing on what other people have.
I like that.
And gratitude isn't just about feeling good.
Okay.
It actually rewires our brains.
Interesting.
When we practice gratitude regularly,
Yeah.
we strengthen those neural pathways,
Associated with positive emotions.
making us more resilient and less susceptible to negativity.
So it's like a like a superpower
It's a superpower.
that helps us overcome envy.
And cultivate a more positive outlook.
And it's available to everyone.
It is.
This is making me realize that there's so much more to human nature
Then,
than just those primal instincts.
yeah.
There's also this incredible capacity for growth, for self-awareness.
For connection.
And Green doesn't shy away from exploring that side.
Right.
In fact, one of the most powerful messages in his book
Is
about the importance of empathy
in forging deeper connections.
and overcoming our self-absorption.
It's essential.
I think empathy is one of the most, essential qualities we can cultivate as human beings.
It allows us to step outside of our own limited perspectives.
To connect with others on a deeper level.
And Green argues that empathy is not just about being nice.
Or feeling sorry for someone.
It's about understanding their motivations, their fears, their desires.
To see the world through their eyes.
Even if their perspective is completely different from our own.
So moving beyond judgment.
Trying to understand where people are coming from.
Even if we don't agree with their actions or beliefs.
Exactly. And this is where things get really interesting. Green suggests that when we start to understand those deeper motivations, that's when we can truly connect with others in a meaningful way.
Yeah, it's like we're not just reacting to the surface level anymore.
Right. It's like we're seeing beneath the mask.
We're getting to the heart of who they really are.
Exactly. And that can be incredibly powerful.
Yeah.
Both for our personal relationships.
No, and even in our professional lives.
Oh, absolutely.
Imagine trying to negotiate a deal or lead a team without understanding what's driving the people around you.
It would be like navigating a maze in the dark.
So Green's basically saying that empathy is a form of, strategic intelligence.
Yeah, and I know that might sound a little cold or calculating.
Yeah, it does seem a bit counterintuitive.
But think about it this way.
Okay.
If you can accurately read people's emotions, understand their needs and desires,
Yeah.
you're in a much better position to influence them.
To persuade them, to anticipate their behavior.
Exactly. It's like having a secret decoder ring for human interaction.
So empathy is like a superpower in the world of human relationships.
In a way, yeah.
It gives us this deeper understanding of what makes people tick.
And that understanding allows us to build rapport, to negotiate more effectively, to avoid potential conflicts.
It's like we're speaking a language everyone understands.
Language of human nature.
And that brings us back to Green's core argument,
The idea that understanding human nature is the key.
To personal growth.
And fulfilling relationship.
But all these different pieces we've been talking about.
The shadow self, the higher self, empathy.
They're all starting to fit together.
It's a beautiful tapestry, isn't it?
It really is. And here's the really exciting part.
What's that?
Green suggests that this process of self-discovery and growth,
Yeah.
it's not just about us as individuals.
Right.
It also has the potential to transform society as a whole.
That's a powerful idea.
It feels like a huge leap, though,
I know it might sound idealistic, but Green makes a compelling argument.
Okay, I'm listening.
He suggests that as more individuals become aware of their own biases,
Their shadow tendencies, their need for status and validation.
we'll be less likely to fall prey to those manipulative forces that often drive conflict and division,
So it's like a ripple effect.
spreading outward.
As people become more self-aware and empathetic,
Those qualities start to influence their relationships, their communities.
and ultimately the world at large.
It's about recognizing that we're all interconnected
Our actions have consequences.
that extend far beyond ourselves.
So by choosing to embody those higher qualities,
These aspects of human nature that foster connection, compassion, understanding.
we can actually create a more harmonious world for everyone.
It's a beautiful vision, isn't it?
It really is incredibly inspiring, and it all starts with each of us, right?
With the choices we make every day,
The way we interact with others.
the attitudes we cultivate within ourselves.
These are all threads that contribute to the larger tapestry of human experience.
Beautifully said. And it's like each individual thread, no matter how small.
It contributes to the whole.
Exactly.
This has been, wow, a really profound journey.
It has.
As we wrap up, though, I want to bring it back to our listeners.
Okay.
Green, he leaves us with a powerful question, and it's this. If understanding human nature is the key to personal growth and fulfilling relationships, what aspects of your nature will you focus on developing?
It's a great question to ponder, to really sit with.
What resonated with you the most from our conversation?
I'd love to know what our listeners are thinking about, too.
Maybe it's the idea of acknowledging that shadow self,
Yeah, that can be tough
integrating those darker impulses,
in a healthy way.
Maybe it's developing that more objective perspective on our emotions.
So we can make more conscious choices.
Or maybe it's cultivating that expansive and fearless attitude,
Stepping outside our comfort zone.
embracing new challenges.
Whatever it is,
Yeah, yeah.
remember that this journey of self-discovery, it's uniquely yours.
It's your own path.
Embrace the process. Be patient with yourself.
And even small steps towards self-awareness.
They can have a profound impact on your life and relationships.
That's a beautiful thought.
It is.
Well, that brings us to the end of our deep dive.
Into the fascinating world of human nature.
We hope this exploration has sparked your curiosity
Challenged your assumptions.
and inspired you to embark on your own journey of self-discovery.
Remember, the more we understand ourselves and each other,
Yeah.
the more we can create a world that reflects the best of human nature.
A world that is more compassionate, more connected.
More fulfilling for everyone.
Until next time.
Keep exploring. Keep questioning.
Keep diving deep.